You've been lied to. Since you were a kid, you were told to avoid failure, that messing up was shameful, that if you failed, you were somehow less. And so, most people play it safe. They stick to the known, the comfortable, the predictable. But here's the truth nobody told you. The fastest way to succeed is to fail more. Not fail once, not fail a little, but to fail often, openly, and with intention. That's not a motivational quote. That's a strategy. Let's be honest. Our culture doesn't reward failure. In school, getting an F meant embarrassment. At work, it could mean losing your job. Online, failure is often turned into content for people to laugh at. So we internalize this message. Failure equals shame. We begin to avoid risk. We hesitate to start things we're not sure we'll finish perfectly. We choose the safe job. We stay in the relationship that's comfortable. We hold back ideas because we're scared they might flop. But what's the result? We don't grow. We don't build anything that stretches us. We don't evolve into the person we could be. Instead, we protect the version of ourselves we already are. And here's the tragedy. Most people don't fail too much. They fail too little. What if we flipped the script? What if failure wasn't something to avoid, but something to collect, like reps in the gym? The more you do, the stronger you get. Failing more isn't about being reckless. It's about being brave. It's about running experiments in the real world instead of in your head. It's about putting yourself in motion over and over again until reality starts bending in your favor. Let me tell you a story you've probably heard a version of, but let's slow it down and really sit with what it means. James Dyson, you know the brand. Vacuum cleaners, fans, air purifiers. He's a billionaire now, but rewind to before the world knew his name. He was just a guy obsessed with solving a problem. He wanted to invent a vacuum that didn't lose suction. Sounds simple enough, but it wasn't. He didn't get it right on the first try, or the 10th, or the 100th. James Dyson built 5,126 prototypes before he got to the one that finally worked. Let that number sit for a second. 5,126 failures. That means he failed once a day, every day, for almost 14 years. No applause, no funding, no recognition, just daily failure. And that one success, it changed the industry and changed his life. So here's the thing. It's not that Dyson was smarter than everyone else. It's that he was willing to fail more than anyone else. He gave himself permission to experiment and fall short again and again, knowing each no brought him closer to yes. Now you might be thinking, that's cool for Dyson, but I don't have 14 years to fail. But here's the real issue. It's not the time, it's the ego. We're afraid of what people will say. We're afraid of looking stupid. We're afraid of wasting effort. And sometimes, we're afraid that failing will confirm our worst fear, that maybe we're not cut out for what we're trying to do. So we avoid the risk altogether. But the danger of not trying is greater than the pain of failing. Think about this. What if success isn't behind the door you're scared to open, but behind the 100 doors you haven't even tried? That's why you need to fail more, not blindly, but intentionally. Because behind every failure is a piece of data, a lesson, a pattern, a clue. So what does this actually look like in your life? Here are 3 practical steps to start failing more on purpose. 1. Choose volume over perfection. Stop waiting to get things perfect. Whether you're starting a business, applying for jobs, learning a skill, do it more often, not more perfectly. Want to be a better writer? Write 100 bad posts. Want to get into tech? Apply to 50 roles, not 5. Want to get better at dating? Have more conversations, even awkward ones. Quantity leads to quality, but only if you're willing to do enough iterations. 2. Track the lessons, not the outcome. Start a failure log. Seriously, after every attempt, ask, what worked? What didn't? What will I do differently next time? This builds resilience. It turns failure into a feedback loop, and over time, that loop will outpace any strategy you could read in a book. 3. Stop hiding your attempts. One of the worst habits we develop is trying to fail in secret. We don't tell people what we're working on in case it doesn't work out, but that just keeps us trapped. Instead, share your attempts. Be open about your process. Post that first messy video. Launch that rough beta version. Talk about the rejection you got. Vulnerability creates momentum, and it attracts people who can help. You don't need to fear failing. You need to fear standing still, because in a world moving this fast, standing still isn't safe. It's going backwards. And if you embrace that, you can move faster than 99% of people. The people you admire, the ones who seem to have it all figured out, they didn't get lucky. They just got started earlier, and they failed more in silence before you ever saw their highlight reel. Let's take someone like Sara, the founder of Spanx. She turned $5,000 into $1 billion brand. But what most people don't know is that before Spanx, she failed at becoming a lawyer, failed at stand-up comedy, failed as a Disney character. She sold fax machines door to door for years, but here's the difference. Her dad used to ask her at the dinner table, "What did you fail at this week?" Not as a joke. He celebrated it. So when failure came, and it did, she didn't see it as rejection. She saw it as movement. That's the shift. Failure isn't the end of the path. It is the path. Something strange happens when you start failing more. You stop flinching. You stop hesitating. You stop putting your self-worth on every outcome. You begin to build what most people never do: emotional endurance. You realize you can survive embarrassment. You can survive mistakes. You can survive the awkward silence of something not working. And because of that, you take more swings. You email that mentor. You pitch that idea. You record that first video. You invest in that thing you believe in, not recklessly, but with eyes wide open. And every time you do, you widen your luck surface area. You give the world more chances to say yes to you. This isn't about being fearless. It's about being courageous enough to act with the fear. So ask yourself this: are you building a life that's engineered to avoid failure, or one that's designed to learn as fast as possible? One will keep you safe. The other will set you free. Here's the truth most people never realize until it's too late. You don't get unlimited tries, but you do get enough tries. If you stop wasting time trying to avoid failing, every time you hold back, that's one less iteration, one less lesson, one less shot at building the life you actually want. The people who make it, they're not the ones who had perfect plans. They're the ones who made more imperfect attempts. They failed fast, they failed forward, and they failed loudly enough for success to find them. So if you're stuck, stalled, scared, don't focus on, how do I win? Ask, how can I fail more today? Because on the other side of enough failures is confidence, is clarity, is momentum, is mastery. And one day, someone's going to look at your life and call you lucky. But you'll know the truth. You just failed more than they were willing to fail more. Not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Fail more because success is hiding behind all the tries you haven't made yet. And the sooner you start failing, the sooner you'll start flying.